it's like running a marathon with a tiger chasing you that's gonna eat you, you know, for hours and hours. And it's like, if you finally get to safety. Hi everyone, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel where I share information on health, fitness, and just overall self-improvement and optimization. On today's video, I wanted to share more in detail of my experience and the things that I felt and went through when I was going through my panic attack phase of my health crash, which was phase 1, 2, and part of phase 3. Before I get into that, let me just go over my disclaimer. I am not a doctor or a therapist. I'm here to share my experience for reassurance and information purposes. I strongly encourage you to advise your health professional before taking on any health advice. Just a quick recap. About 2 years ago, I had my major health crash, which involved hormonal imbalances, panic attacks, anxiety disorder, adrenal fatigue, if you want to call it that, HPA axis dysfunction, just overall burnout of my health and my body and mind. This happened 2 years ago. I had lived a very stressful chronic lifestyle up till then for years and years, and it finally caught up to me. So 2 years ago, I had the actual crash, and it took me about 18 months to reach full recovery. Between 18 months to a year, because the last few months of the few months after the 18-month, I was still, I would say, settling into my full recovery. So I would say I fully recovered between 18 months to 2 years, and I've broken out my entire journey into 5 different phases. You can check out the video on that and other videos on this subject on my channel. My channel is very heavily, in the moment, dedicated to getting well from the health crash experience I had. Lately, a lot of people have been requesting on more details on the panic attacks that I've experienced. I know that back when I was experiencing these, it's really good to hear from other people who have gone through it so that I can get reassurance, because part of the health crash, it leads to health anxiety as well. I will go over just a list of things and experiences that I had with the panic attack. I'm not going to number them off. I was trying to do that in a lot of videos on picking a number, but I will just name them off, and then when I do the title of this video, I will just count how many numbers that, ballpark how much numbers I've shared on the different things and experiences I felt with it. Okay, so let's get right into it. So first thing is that they can occur, panic attacks, for me, and all this is my personal experience, they occurred very randomly. So I could be stressed out and get one, or I could just be fine and not stressed out, not panic in any way, and suddenly get it. They can last, the time that they last varies. So sometimes it could be very short, sometimes it could be very long, as well as the intensity. Sometimes it could be short and intense, and sometimes it could be like moderate and long, and sometimes it could be intense and long and short and moderate. So it's very random, mixed batch of how it occurs. For like my own experience with it, I was at the time getting them back to back to back to back to back. Especially in the beginning of my health crash, it was like once I had my first panic attack, I would say, looking back, it was like a non-stop 2 week of back to back to back to back. And then it was more broken down. It wasn't just like, because it was like 2 weeks I was in panic attack, because it just happened one right after another. After that, it was more in clusters, like it would happen a lot, and then I would have a little break, and again, the frequency, duration, and all that just goes like this as you recover. Next thing is that they could be caused, for me, they could be caused by psychological issues, or not issues, but psychological stimulants, or better word is psychological triggers or physical triggers. So what I mean by that is my panic attacks could start because, I mean, they could get triggered because of like I was literally like scared or something. Like if I watched an intense movie and I got scared, and that could trigger a panic attack, psychologically trigger. Or I could just be, you know, overdoing myself. And back then it took very little to overdo myself, like literally having like too heated of a conversation. And by too heated, I mean like if I just was like more excited about a subject, that would cause me to just feel so exhausted, and that exhaustion and that depletion would cause a panic attack, because it was like my body was like, oh, I can't handle this, it's too much, and it goes into panic mode, and I would get a panic attack. I had them throughout the night some days, for a lot of days. So the nocturnal panic attacks are even worse because you're kind of left in a defenseless mental state because you're sleeping, to kind of talk yourself out of it. So, you know, when you're awake and you get them, you eventually get used to having them, so you can like talk yourself like, oh, I'm having a panic attack, let's calm down and all that. But when you're sleeping, you can't. So it leads into like horrible nightmares, you know, waking up like gasping. Yeah, it wasn't fun. The panic attack also gave me a lot of heart palpitations. I got heart palpitations in other part of the crash, so it wasn't just the panic attack, but obviously the panic attacks really encouraged the heart palpitations. They also would leave me with those trembling, jittering sensations. Again, that wasn't just caused by the panic attack, but panic attacks can cause that as well. So there was a lot of overlayering of symptoms and triggers and stuff like that through my health crash. But again, today we're focused on the panic attacks. And in the beginning, when they were very severe, like initially when I had them, it was very difficult to talk myself mentally out of them. Like eventually, I think my mind and body got used to having them, and so I was building up like a way that I had a defense and a recovery process within myself for them. But in the beginning, when it was new, it was so new and scary and awful that, yeah, I couldn't talk myself out of it. It was like it would happen, and no matter how I tried to calm myself, and you know, in the beginning it didn't work. It took some work to gradually build that ability to kind of overcome them as they come. The panic attacks also would feel very different. There were different kinds of panic attacks I had. So some were just like straight up, you know, I'm nervous, my heart's pounding, I have anxiety, high levels of anxiety, like irrational thoughts that I couldn't turn off in my head, obviously insomnia, but then there were also another, like a more mild, I guess, version of the panic attacks where you just feel like something's wrong, you know, and the feeling is very similar to having panic attacks, but just like a lower level, but just as awful. And these would usually last longer. Like it would just be like a whole day sometimes. Like I would just have these days where I just constantly spent feeling not right. Like I'm just like extra nervous, and you know, the panic attacks I had experienced was triggered by, you know, positive and negative emotions. So yes, fear, shock, stress, and negative emotions, depression, and all that could trigger it, but also having, you know, good feelings like extra, like exhilaration, happiness, excitement, you know, inspiration, like it, anytime you go away from just that middle ground of like monotone living, in the beginning stages of my panic attack experience, everything would trigger it. So not that I had to just be not so negative in the negative emotions. I also couldn't be too happy and excited because that would trigger it too. A lot of self-disciplined and consistency work to get out of it. But another fact to my experience with the panic attack is, yes, they lessen gradually, and in time they completely go away. Like now that I've reached full recovery and beyond, I don't even like it. Just, yeah, I can be as excited or as mad as I want, or watch a scary movie. In fact, I binge watch a bunch of Netflix horror shows recently, and like nothing. Like once you fully come out of this and you really do reach true full recovery, in my case, nothing ever again. Also, sexually, it was a trigger as well. So orgasms, like being turned on, would trigger panic attacks. Again, completely went away when I fully recovered. Now, this is something I want to share from my experience, and it also addresses a few common things that I'm seeing on my channel and from my viewers and the questions and their experiences. It's that, you know, again, I believe that your path is your path, and you can create the healing and however you truly want to create and manifest it. I'm sharing my experience, and all the people that I've talked to who has truly gone through the full recovery, 10 out of 10 people that I've talked to, including myself, it just doesn't happen that quickly. Okay, and I'm not going to set a timeline on it, but if you're like even like around 6 months, it's too early to think that you're reaching full recovery. It just, especially when you are very attached and excited to how you're recovering suddenly, those aren't good signs of full recovery. Those are the typical phase 2, sometimes phase 1 ups and downs of emotions and extremes. So really be aware of those. I'm totally in the same boat when I was in that phase where I was just, extra excited when I saw signs of recovery, and very quickly I was disappointed with signs of regression and setbacks. So it took me a few times, but I learned very quickly as well. I said to myself that this wasn't the path I want to go down, because I realized that the extremes was the opposite of what was going to help me truly get out of this. So that is what I was talking about in phase 2 and 3, is where you learn this skill and what you learn to hold steady and not go into the extremes. It takes a lot of discipline and consistency. It isn't something that's just gonna magically switch, because for most of us who got into this type of health imbalance is because we're so accustomed, and maybe by nature we live in extremes, and I know that's it for my case. So to really heal this, I had to learn the art of moderation. That doesn't mean I don't have extreme experiences anymore. Once I made my full recovery, I kept the lesson I learned about being balanced and moderate, but at the same time, within that moderation, you can have a balanced amount of extremes that you enjoy. So it's all about balance. I know, oldest saying in the book, but I just want to tell everyone who's going through the panic attacks that it really, for me, it was a huge key to get out of this whole thing. Not just the panic attacks, but all of the issues I had with the health imbalance and health crash. So yeah, those are the things I want to share more in detail about the panic attacks. Some supplements that helped me were, again, holy basil. It really calms everything down. Ashwagandha as well. When you're still having intense panic attacks, I didn't find licorice helped until later, when it was a lot more mild. When I had the extreme panic attacks, when I took licorice, it actually was worse. Same thing with the DHEA. When I had intense symptoms, including panic attacks, DHEA just did not work. It made it worse for a while. But once you have made some recovery, like later in phase 3 and phase 4, DHEA and licorice really speeds up. Like, it really helps. It supports the recovery. For me, again, sharing my own experience. Everyone can react to anything differently. So this is just for me to share and for your information and research. After panic attacks, I would be, completely exhausted, obviously, and depleted, and just out of any type of ability to push or to cope with stress. I would be very hungry, and I would crave salt, and I would crave massive, carb cravings. It's like running a marathon with a tiger chasing you that's going to eat you, for hours and hours. And it's like, if you finally get to safety, of course you're going to be craving, sodium, because you've been sweating and stressing out and losing water and losing minerals. I'm sure I was craving carbs, because that's like a fuel for you to, do that type of energy expenditure. So that totally was very logical sense to me that I'd crave those things. There's also a lot of people asking me about the hot flashes and the tingling that all came with the panic attacks as well. That also came on its own, but definitely when I was having the panic attacks, the radiating tingling down my legs, my extremities, the hot and cold sensations, I suddenly felt like air conditioning was blasting on my thigh when nothing was, or the opposite, hot water sensations down my leg. There's no hot water. I also had this really weird bug crawling sensations that was very hard to describe, up and down my back. I felt like somebody was clawing down my back like this, when I have the panic attacks. The depersonalization, derealization symptoms came with the panic attacks as well. Again, they came on their own as well, but definitely with the panic attacks. The racing heart rate, more, stronger heart pounding sensations, the, tingling, trembling sensations, definitely, I've already mentioned it. Insomnia, really bad dreams, and sometimes even slight hallucination and sounds, because that's what happens when your body's in panic mode for too long. So it's almost you're just so fragile that everything's so intense, and you sometimes can see a spot on the side of your eye. So yeah, also eye symptoms would be triggered with panic attacks. Again, they were triggered on their own as well, but panic attacks, yes, they were part of the panic attack party. That's all I can think of for now. If there's more specific questions you want to ask me, post them down in my comment section. Please keep up all the support. I really appreciate my viewers and my audience on my channel. Another quick update. It's been 6 weeks now. I reached full recovery, and then I spent about 3 months. So reaching full recovery was through very consistent, disciplined diet, nutrition, sleep, rest, and self-relaxation exercise and practices, along with the right intensity of physical exercise and the right type of supplements that I researched for myself. I reached full recovery with that. However, after reaching full recovery, I had no symptoms, but I felt like after 2 years of spending so much time stressing out through this health crash and the wear and tear of my body and my emotions from all the panic attack I had and all that stuff, I just didn't feel like I was optimal. Yes, I was like perfectly normal again. I didn't suffer from any of the symptoms, and I, could still perform everything fairly well. As far as like exercise, workouts, sexual health, all that was all fine. And I was able to, have stimulation and watch scary movies again and watch action movies. Loud noises didn't bother me, like nothing. But I didn't feel like, I also lost 2 years out of my life dealing with that. So then I sought out, after a lot of research on how to better my health and optimize myself, my health, my fitness, and all that. And I am on a protocol for hormone optimization, and a key thing was my thyroid was super low, and that was depleted from having gone through so much physical and mental stress, along with a few other hormones that I had to get optimized. Once I got on that protocol, after full recovery, I made jumps back to feeling optimized. My workouts finally felt like they did when 10 years ago, so there's a lot that goes into really good, healthy nutrition, sound nutrition plan, eating habits, getting quality sleep, getting, true relaxation, state of mind practice, physical exercise, and just mental health, working on your mental health. Like if you do need to seek out a therapist to help you through certain mental blocks and stuff like that could really affect your stress level. There's a lot to that. And then adding the help of certain hormones that you are depleted in. This whole thing is so powerful. And I've definitely noticed a huge jump in mentally, physically, performance-wise, after I've done the full recovery on my own and then sought out the support of hormone optimization. And I'm really happy. And I am so thankful and appreciative of my optimal health that I've regained myself again, overall wellness as well, and just I am inspired and motivated again, and just happy. And I really, really, really hope and know that all you guys who truly desire that will get there. Anyways, I hope all this information is helpful, and that it is I want it to be expressed in a way where it's like, I'm not trying to tell you that you will have the same experience as me, but I do want to inspire you and bring some reassurance and, for lack of a better word, happiness to the situation for you. Even though everyone's having their own experience, it doesn't mean you'll be a carbon copy of me or any of my symptoms or any of my triggers or any of that. But I know from coming through it that when you find someone who has gone through it and has reached a destination that you desire, and they share their experience and you find common ground, it really helps you to relax. And it really helped me to relax and to give you more motivation and just encouragement and juice to go forward. So that is the purpose of this video in a nutshell. And enjoy the rest of your day, and I will read your comments and questions below.
Guys, I really hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and share my videos with others. That would really help me expand my audience. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I upload new content. I now have PayPal Donate, so if you're interested in that and you want to support my channel, you can click on the link in my comment section as well as the upper right hand corner of my channel homepage. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. As always, remember, it's never too late to optimize yourself, and you can always start right now. Until next time, I'm Jaden Christopher, and I'm wishing you a thriving day. Bye.